But then the next question is he's asking, as far as WWE and TNA, what are 3 talents that I would like to see pushed and de-pushed? As far as TNA, let me get to TNA first. The 3 talents I would like to see pushed in TNA is Kazarian, because I definitely think he could be the face of the X Division, or he possibly could even be a main eventer, because definitely him and Joe worked well together, and him and AJ have worked well together in the past. So hopefully, they'll push him. Another team that needs to be pushed real good is the Motor City Machine Guns. Definitely a feud with them and LAX could really rejuvenate the tag team division in TNA. So hopefully they'll do something like that. And the 3rd talent is they'll have to get him out of the Curry Man gimmick. But Christopher Daniels is one of those talents that from day one that TNA should have pushed further and done more with. I've got to say that Ring of Honor didn't even do as good as what they should have with Christopher Daniels. Instead of Xavier as world champion, the first world beaten low key, Christopher Daniels should have been that one defeating low key. But Christopher Daniels is a very talented wrestler. Hopefully they get him out of this Curry Man gimmick soon and actually have him in the world heavyweight title picture, because him and AJ work great together. Him and Joe, you could do the 3-way feud again. Love to see him and Kurt Angle. And him and Christian Cage had a good match in Ring of Honor, so hopefully they do something like that soon. As far as talent that I like to see de-pushed, I like to see Booker T pretty much de-pushed, because I don't think he's believable as a heavyweight contender for the world title. Basically, with his last run in his last days in WWE, I think Triple H kind of killed that off and made it not seem like he could be that anymore. And I never thought he was, up there with being a world heavyweight contender anyway. I thought he was fitting well in his role in TNA with his kind of mid-card, upper mid-card with Robert Roode. Kind of, he could beat the talents, but he was at the same time elevating some younger talent. I think that's what he should do. Kevin Nash is one of those talents. Get him the fuck off of TV. And Team 3D has run their course, and unless after their TNA contract's up and they go back to WWE, their time as a tag team and their time as wrestlers need to end. They both need to pretty much retire because they're getting very, very stale at this point. And as far as WWE, talent that I like to see pushed is Umaga, London and Spanky. Unfortunately, now they're broken up. And Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy should be pushed pretty hard on the ECW brand. Have him win the ECW title. Then have him either move to the Raw and SmackDown brand, and then I can see him possibly, having a feud with Edge, which I don't know why they got him off the SmackDown brand, because I definitely saw him as a future World Heavyweight champion, and they keep on giving Jeff Hardy these chances and somewhat punishing Matt Hardy, putting him on the ECW brand. And talents that I like to see de-pushed is Kane. Kane's one of those talents that I was a fan of back in the day, and the last couple years he's been fading off, and at this point he pretty much needs to retire. Carlito is one of those talents I know a lot of people like, but I'm not saying de-push him because of his Triple H comments. Calm down, some of you. But I'm saying this because I don't think he's really there as far as wrestling talent, and his gimmicks, starting to get very old. And, they need to do something different with him if they want to try to push him at all. And then the other talent that I like to see de-push is Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle is one of those characters that's been getting a little too much TV time. And yeah, it was funny at first for somewhat, but then it's growing old. And I think, still the fans in attendance, I guess, are behind him. But still, they need to fucking get him off of TV or something, because this whole Hornswoggle and Finley thing is been going on for so long that it's starting to get very, very old, and they need to end it as soon as they can. And next question is from Master Boo Boo 69. Do you think WWE is putting all the cruiserweight talent on ECW on purpose, and do you think ECW should get a cruiserweight championship? First thing, I don't think they're not putting any of the cruiserweight talent on ECW on purpose, because if they did that, they would have put Jamie Noble on the ECW brand instead of putting him on the Raw brand supplemental draft. And, pretty much, I think, some of these wrestlers of smaller weights, pretty much the junior heavyweights, or, as, casual fans like to call cruiserweights. And, I think it's not bad to have them on these shows. And, I'd rather see WWE push wrestlers that of that weight other than the Batista types, because all the cruiserweight wrestlers pretty much can at least work. And do I think ECW should have a cruiserweight title? No. If they do ever get a secondary title, and I really don't think they need a secondary title because they don't really have a huge roster, but if they did, I would prefer a TV title, or possibly just keep Matt Hardy's U.S. title on there. That could possibly work. Then the next question is from Aussie Pugs, and he's got 2 questions. Why did CM Punk leave Ring of Honor? CM Punk basically left Ring of Honor. He left Ring of Honor in 2005. At that point, it was pretty much an independent federation and wasn't as big as what it is now. Definitely has grown a whole lot since he's left, and he just wanted to give WWE a try. That's basically the only thing I could say, because unless if CM Punk ever says why he left, because he really never went in depth why he left. He just said he wanted to give WWE a chance. And if ROH never gets a TV deal, will it turn into a feeder promotion just for WWE and TNA? Well, WWE and TNA, yes, they have taken some talent from Ring of Honor, but definitely now, as far as all the talents, are under contract. So unless after their contract's up, they want to go to WWE and TNA. For the most part, a lot of the talent now pretty much is going to be staying with Ring of Honor, especially since now it's expanding a whole lot more. And definitely a TV deal is going to be in the future. They're just taking their time with it, like I said earlier. And next question is from Mr. Nick 1990. Does Kevin Garnett finally winning a NBA championship seal his fate as being one of the greatest of all time? 11-time All-Star, MVP award winner, Defensive Player of the Year, just to name his other accomplishments. Kevin Garnett is one of those talents that I don't know if you could say he's the greatest player of all time, but definitely he's a good player, and I feel he's a tad bit overrated by a lot, but because he really never did anything with the Timberwolves, and now he's with the Boston Celtics, and he pretty much needed, Paul Pierce and Ray Allen to even get to an NBA championship. So, obviously, he's a good player, but I don't know if you could put him in the category of a great player. Possibly with 1 or 2 more rings, then you could put him in the category of a great player. Just 1 ring, I don't think so. But yeah, he's definitely had a lot of accomplishments in his career. Next question is from Steve Nash, 1386. How do you think Terry Porter will do with the Suns this year, upcoming season? Definitely, I think he will do well with them. The Suns and the Mavericks are 2 teams that really got hurt last year when they made the trades. The Shaq trade didn't work for them, and the Mavericks, the Jason Kidd trade really didn't work at all for them, and I didn't like their Jason Kidd trade at all. At least with the Suns, I saw the Shaquille O'Neal trade possibly working. Next question is from J Help. I want to ask you, what Japanese promotions do you watch and enjoy the most today? Basically, any of the Japanese promotions I watch, Pro Wrestling Noah, New Japan, All Japan, Dragon Gate, and some of the Joshi promotions and any of that. So definitely, any of the Japanese promotions I get my hand on and watch, I watch them. And as far as the ones I enjoy the most, probably Pro Wrestling Noah, but definitely with the undercard's very lackluster in Pro Wrestling Noah, but they're basically, when you get to the middle of their show and to the end, definitely the shows are very good, and definitely like all the talent they got there. New Japan, I think, has improved this year. All Japan still nowhere near, or probably will never even be as good as what they used to be in the early 90s. But definitely a lot of Japanese promotions are good. Dragon Gate's very good. Some people might say it's very spotty, but I don't view it as that. It's basically it is spotty, but it's not like spotty in the sense of Lucha Libre where it's just spots for no reason. At least the spots in Dragon Gate for the most part have reasoning behind them. And next question is from D Shaker 14. Do you think the Mavericks will make the playoffs next year? Definitely. Hopefully they will make the playoffs. Definitely they need to change up a few things this postseason, and definitely need to do a whole lot better things. Dirk Nowitzki is a great player. Jason Terry still on that. He's kind of that inconsistent player all the time. Sometimes he's great, other times he isn't. And Jason Kidd's one of those players I feel is the most overrated fucking player of all time. And he didn't help. And that trade that they did for him was completely terrible. And I don't know why they even tried to do that trade at all. Hopefully they'll do some good stuff this season. And I definitely see them making the playoffs. Definitely they just had a bad season, but hopefully they do well this upcoming season. They'll do something like that. And the third talent is they'll have to get him out of the Curry Man gimmick, but Christopher Daniels is one of those talents that from day one that TNA should have pushed further and done more with. And TNA is Kazarian, because I definitely think he could be the face of the X Division, or he possibly could even be a main eventer, because definitely him and Joe worked well together, and him and AJ have worked well together in the past. So hopefully. But then the next question is he's asking, as far as WWE and TNA, what are three talents that I would like to see pushed and deep pushed? As far as TNA, let me get to TNA first. The three talents I would like to see pushed, I've got to say that Ring of Honor didn't even do as good as what they should have with Christopher Daniels. Instead of Xavier as world champion, the first world beaten low key, Christopher Daniels should have been that. They'll push him. Another team that needs to be pushed real good is the Motor City Machine Guns. Definitely a feud with them and LAX could really rejuvenate the tag team division in TNA. So hopefully they'll